Hi, welcome to What to Read Wednesdays. I'm Marlene, the Adult Services Supervisor at the North Carroll branch. And if you've been a book lover over the last 100 years, then I'm sure you've heard of the Anne of Green Gables series by L.M. Montgomery. This book is set on the beautiful Prince Edward Island in Canada, quite a tourist attraction, and because of these books, even more so. But I'd say my girls fell in love with this series of books about the time they were in high school. It's written at a high school or adult level. But my girls fell in love with this. It's the story of an old bachelor that lives with his spinster, stern sister. They've come to the decision that they need some help on their family farm. Matthew's been having heart problems, and so they write to an orphanage and ask if they can send a boy to come help with the farm. They've waited, and finally the day has arrived. Matthew takes the wagon, goes to pick up their boy help, and lo and behold, there's been an error. They send a girl by the name of Anne Shirley. And she would always tell you, that's Anne with an E. Anne was the most talkative, redhead, never can come up for air girl. And Matthew, in his quiet ways, he would just laugh, but he loved Anne. Marilla, she would just get so exasperated by Anne. And they're books that you really have to stick with because there's a lot of talk. But they became classics. And then the author that wrote the book I want to talk about today, the book is called Marilla of Green Gables. This author, Sarah McCoy, was stunned by one line in the first book of Anne of Green Gables. And it's when Anne is just beginning a budding relationship with Gilbert Blythe that one day in church, Marilla shockingly says this one little phrase, a line, never speaks of it again, and she says this to Anne, and I quote, "John Blythe," who is Gilbert's dad, "John Blythe was a nice boy. We used to be real good friends, he and I. People used to call him my beau." She said this while speaking to Anne in church. "Oh, Marilla," Anne replies, "and what happened?" There was never a response. Author Sarah McCoy said, "Anne's question echoed in my heart my whole life. Oh, Marilla, what happened?" And this novel is my answer to that. Author Sarah McCoy spent hours and hours with L.M. Montgomery's family getting their wholehearted approval and endorsement of this book. This best-selling international author, she grew up and calls herself an army brat, and she moved between 10 months to every 2 years until she was 13 years old, living around the globe. She now lives in North Carolina in a green gabled modern farmhouse with her orthopedic physician husband. And so that's some background on Sarah McCoy. The book Marilla of Green Gables is a prequel to Anne of Green Gables. It's a standalone. You can just read it by itself. You could read it first. I prefer, maybe just because I read Anne of Green Gables series first, I liked it that way and then read Marilla later. I thought McCoy was very brave to tackle such a classic piece of literature and write a story as a prequel on it. But I think she did a very good job. So this is the story telling Marilla's life story in the little tight-knit community on the remote island of Prince Edward Island and the community there. And it's her life as Marilla growing up and before Anne ever entered in the picture of her life. Anne did not come to Matthew and Marilla till they were much older adults. So Marilla of Green Gables by Sarah McCoy was a 2018 award-winning, many award-winning awards that year. I listened to Marilla of Green Gables by Sarah McCoy as a book on CD. I love to listen to audiobooks. It also comes in the regular print. It comes in large print as well as a digital resource. So I highly recommend the book. If you're looking for a book that is set in a a gentler time, although there are a lot of difficulties in those days as well as good times. I recommend Marilla of Green Gables by Sarah McCoy, and I want to say thank you for joining us on What to Read Wednesdays.